Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Heavy Metal Music Theory. Today we are going to discuss the song Us and Them by Pink Floyd. And I'm going to go through two sections. I'm going to play them, put them up on screen, and discuss them. Section 1 is the beginning part. We're starting with a D sus. Alright. Which then moves to an E sus with a D in the bass. And then we have what's called a D minor major 7 chord. And then we have a G chord with a D in the bass. And then we have the D chord bringing us back home. Alright? I'm going to run through that once without talking. There we have it. Alright, so that first chord is a D sus, which is just a variation on the D chord. We're essentially in the key of D here. So the D sus just acts as the 1 chord. The E sus is basically the 2 chord. The 2 chord's typically minor, but when you do a sus chord, you suspend major and minor. So in this case, it's just color, but the E note is in fact the second note of the D scale. So we'll just call it the 2 chord. There's also a D in the bass with that. That's why you get that little bit of tension when you play that chord, because that bass note has been kept on the D. Okay, the 3rd chord is one of the most unique chords of all time. It is what's called a minor major 7. So here's how we're going to break this down. The minor quantifier or qualifier has to do with the 3rd of the chord, which in this case the 3rd of the D chord is F sharp, but it's minor, so it's going to be an F. So there's your D minor chord. Now the major 7 part has to do with the 7th being major, which is a C sharp. So there's all 4 notes: D, F, A, C sharp. So it's kind of a combo chord in a way, where the 3rd is minor and the 7 is major. So there's kind of a collision happening there. And it's a very mysterious sounding chord. Makes for a great end to a composition. Keeping with the D theme, again, the root being D, the next chord is the G chord with a D in the bass. Right? Another slash chord. And of course, the reason for the D in the bass is to keep the D as the foundation, regardless of what's going on with the chords on top. That root note is going to remain D. And then finally back home to D major, where the progression comes to a rest. Alright? So I hope that made sense to everybody. The next section starts off on a B minor. I'm going to play this. Alright, 4 chord progression. We're still grounded in the key of D, but now we're now starting on the B minor chord, which is the 6th chord of the key of D. So it gives the minor feel starting out. And of course, the 6th note of any major scale is the relative minor also. So even though we're not technically jumping to the key of B minor, we kind of get that flavor because it's the minor chord and it happens to be the relative. So the B minor chord, it lays out the start of it. The 2nd chord is also B minor, but this time we have a slash A, so the A in the bass, right? And then the 3rd chord is a D chord with a G in the bass. So you can hear a lot of tension there. Here's the B minor with the A in the bass, and then here's the D chord with the G in the bass. right? Little bit of tension, little bit of color. What's really awesome about that is it creates a scalar descending bass part, or rather a descending bass line, right? So it goes from the B with the B minor chord to the A with the B minor chord to the G with the D chord. And then we end the progression on a C major, which brings that descending part back up, right? Lifts back up, ends on a very happy major chord. I think they're pulling that C major chord from the key of D minor, not the key of D major, because the key of D major contains a C sharp, while the D minor key contains a C. So I do believe we're dealing with a 6, 6, 1, and then the 7th chord from the parallel D minor. Hope that made sense, everybody. If anybody has any questions, comments, please like and subscribe. If you're enjoying the content, I really appreciate it. Subscribing is free, and if you don't want to see all of my video alerts, just don't hit the bell. But I would love the subscription. Lets me know that you are enjoying this. Subscribe, like, and as always, I appreciate you guys. Thank you. Take care.